Welcome back to this third video in the series on the brightest star in the night sky, Sirius. Is Sirius red or blue? Was it ever red? Will it be red again? Hello and welcome back. A special warm welcome to new viewers. My name is Hugh Evans. I'm author of The Origin of the Zodiac and The Origin of Time, and I will be using some of the methodologies that I have used to analyse the origin of the constellations, stars and planets today and demonstrate that in the name of Sirius. And as a recap, we will just look at the first two videos. There are links up there somewhere, up there. In the first video we looked at the word dog. It is said to be of uncertain origin. Well, it's not. It's of very certain origin. It is in the Welsh Cymraeg language, perhaps the language of the antediluvian world, and it means a share or partner. And this was the role of the dog in society. It was a partner to the farmer and shared in all the tasks. They were a successful couple, and that's also why it is the root for words of couple in the Welsh language as well. In the second video we looked at these components of the word Sirius, its name as the dog star, and also of the origin of the Latin name Sirius, which we have inherited into English, and the Greek name Serios. And we came to a conclusion that the name Sirius means the foremost partner, held fast, harnessed or coupled with our sun. And a big shout out again to Pendraig7 for comment on the second video. There's lots of information there, too much to put into this video, I'm sad to say. But there were several takeaways from that comment. Firstly, the rich layers of meaning that the people who named the stars and the constellations invested. They worshipped, or they certainly followed it intensely. It was their spiritual guidance in many senses. And Pendraig7 has suggested also a meaning of radiant lord of the heavens that commands the firmament. All these meanings are appropriate to Sirius. And the second takeaway is that there is no inherent meaning in Latin or Greek as to the star Sirius, and that implies that these cultures inherited the name Sirius into their own. And this supports the hypothesis that the people who named the stars were of extremely ancient lineage. So, if we want to understand whether Sirius was red or blue, we have to go back to Claudius Ptolemy, who lived about 150 of the current era, that's Anno Domini in old money, in the city Alexandria. At the time, Alexandria was the second most important city on the Mediterranean after Rome, and all the trade from Egypt went through Alexandria. It was set up by Alexander the Great, and there was cited the Great Library of Alexandria, which had accumulated all the wealth and knowledge gathered from all of Upper and Lower Egypt. Now we can tell from Claudius Ptolemy's name that he was a Roman citizen. Claudius is a Roman name. We know that he was from Upper Egypt. There you can see where Upper Egypt is, and that he was a Copt, and that was one of the religions that was present in Egypt at that time. So he'd had moved from Upper Egypt to Alexandria. His surname Ptolemy is refers to the the dynasty of some 16 pharaohs that were called Ptolemy, after Ptolemy I, who was the right-hand man and probably half-brother of Alexander the Great, who, when Alexander the Great was died in Babylon, Ptolemy I came directly to Egypt, bringing Alexander the Great's body with him, and proclaimed himself Pharaoh of Egypt. So we have to go to Claudius Ptolemy. A bit of background on him. And there you can see a picture from 1476 of Ptolemy. And in his hand he is holding a model of the heavens. And we can see from this model, this band that goes around it, is the ecliptic. This is the route that all the planets take as viewed from Earth. And this means that this model here is a geocentric, Earth-centric model of the heavens. And this is what Ptolemy promoted. There had been some heliocentric ideas about the heavens with the sun at the centre, which we know to be true today. And these had been proposed by Greek astronomers before Ptolemy, but Ptolemy chose to promote the geocentric model, which was then adopted by the Catholic Church for the next nearly 2,000 years. The most important job that Ptolemy performed for the Roman Empire was the standardization of the Zodiac, because even at that time, circa 150 of the current era, not every culture in the Roman Empire was using the same constellations or the same methods for monitoring the movement of the planets in the night sky. So if you were wanting to move goods or services from one part of the empire to the opposite part of the empire, and you wanted to arrive when Mars was in the constellation Capricorn, that may be completely unexplainable to the people that you arrive at, and you might arrive at the wrong time or place. And this was a problem across the entire Roman Empire. So Claudius Ptolemy's job was to standardize the Zodiac. And he did this with his Almagest star catalogue. And in all, he wrote 4 books, including one on geography. And really, he was simply collating information that was already available in the Library of Alexandria. There was far too much work for him to do all himself. And he's honest about this. He talks about it. He also created the constellation Canis Major. The constellation Canis Major did not exist before Ptolemy. It was called, there was a constellation in that area of the night sky, it was called the Little Twins, or Monoceros, or both. And one of the reasons why there was no constellation called Canis Major is because the prime star of Canis Major, Alpha Canis Major, which is Sirius, wasn't even there. So Claudius Ptolemy had to refer to many ancient astronomers, and he did this explicitly. And why did he do this? Well, he wanted to have credibility. He was creating a star map for the Roman Empire, and he wanted to use all the credibility of the previous astronomers that had gone before him. And he was not coy about this. In his Almagest, when he talks about Sirius, he describes the star as red, and that previous astronomers had also described Sirius as red. And we have every reason to believe him, because he could not be able to establish a uniform method of surveying the heavens based on falsehoods. So how does Sirius go from red to its present colour, which is blue? Here we can see the Hertzsprung Russel diagram, designed from 1913, and there is Sirius right in the middle. This is exploded view here. There's our sun, there's Sirius. And to give viewers a little bit of my background, I did study astrophysics for a year at university before changing to engineering and graduating in engineering. So we learnt about the Hertzsprung Russel diagram, and this is a hypothetical chart showing the evolution of stars. So stars are supposed to evolve down this line here called the main sequence. Here we have 10 to the 7 years, that's 10 million years. 10 to the 9 years, that's a billion years. 10 to the 11 years, that's 100 billion years. That's 10 times older than the supposed age of the universe. And stars are supposed to migrate down this main sequence. So how does Sirius go from its present bluey colour to being red? Or, more improbably, from being red against the flow of the main sequence back to being blue? So here is an image of Sirius from the Hubble Space Telescope, quite blue. And the answer is because of the Doppler effect. And this is an effect where if something is moving away from you, a star, it looks redder. If it changes and starts coming closer to you, it gets bluer. This is how Sirius could change from red to being blue and be seen within the last 2,000 years to have changed colour. We see this with other stars, and with our powerful telescopes today we can see the movement of a star even if it's got a planet going around it, because the planet will make the star go forward and backwards, and that will change the spectrum of the light from that star very, very slightly. But with regard to Sirius, it was absolutely apparent from Earth that it was changing colour, and remarkable. So let's look at the movement of Sirius. Here it is, Sirius in the constellation Canis Major, and there you can see above constellation Monoceros, and over here is Canis Minor, which used to be the Little Twins. And you can see from this data here that the proper motion, which is the motion of Sirius against the fixed night sky, is minus 500 right ascension. That means it's going that way, minus 500 milliarc seconds a year, and it's going down at minus 1200 milliarc seconds per year, and it's one of the fastest moving stars in the night sky. So it's moving from Monoceros into Canis Major, and we can do a very simple Pythagorean triangle here and look at this speed, minus 1300 milliarc seconds per year. And there are 1000 times 60 times 60, which is 3.6 million milliarc seconds per year in 1 degree. Now the ancient Egyptians told us that Sirius does not precess, in that it maintains pace with the movements of the heavens over the precessionary cycle. And this is equivalent to 50,000 milliarc seconds per year. So the ancient Egyptians are telling us that Sirius moves much faster than we see it moving today. And that is because Sirius is at its furthest distance from us and is moving slowest. It has just changed from going away from us, reddish, to coming back towards us, bluish, and is therefore furthest away from us. And like a comet going around the sun, when it's furthest away, it is going slowest. And like a comet going around the sun, when it's closest to the sun, it is going fastest. So to answer our question, is Sirius red or blue? The answer is yes, it is both. Is Sirius red, then blue, then red, then blue? The answer is very probably, because Sirius is in a coupled, held fast relationship with our sun. In the next video, I'm going to shed some more light on this new phenomenon that has emerged about the pyramids. What is underneath the pyramids? And that relates directly to whether the pyramids were a tomb or some other construction. Is the answer of what the pyramids in the name? Well, we can have a look at that name. So please ring the bell, and then when this video comes out, you will get an update and be able to see that video. Please give it a thumbs up, because it's good to share this information. People can then make up their own minds, and we can make some progress. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.